This one day, I just got like full clarity, like boom, boom, boom. I think we are going to go into a time period where original thinking, contemplation, connection to universe, God, source, actually will get stronger by those who prioritize it, but there will be a feeling of AI is replacing those things. Every single one of us on the call, including myself, has been through a launch that didn't hit its numbers. You already know. The truth is already there. You already know. You just forgot that you knew. And you need to just go inward and you'll find all the answers, truly. Embodied CEOs don't chase trends. They pave the way. They lead from within, moved by purpose, unshaken by noise. When you are the source, you do not need permission. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. Can you believe we're almost in October? My birthday month, my favorite month of the year because it'll be fall soon here in Texas. I know technically it's basically fall, but Texas is not on that plan where it will be another month probably. But it has been, man, I feel very connected right now. I feel very in alignment and clear, which feels really good. We have two things in our business right now that are like massive projects, massive. And they would take, normally 6+ months for somebody and a team to execute. And we're condensing that in obviously the shortest amount of time without sacrificing quality. But they are big projects and just super exciting things all related to is like this one day, I just got like full clarity, like boom, boom, boom. I had some chats back and forth with my husband, team, ChatGPT, and was like, here's the plan. And we have been full sprint running ever since. And even in that, I feel so grounded and so present. And I think that I want to mention that because I think that in the past, for sure, I would have let such a busy season with big deadlines, big projects, constantly, so much to do. And on top of that, on the personal side, my kids are in like full-blown fall activity mode. We have something every night, sometimes two things. The weekends are packed and I love seeing them thriving in their activities, but man, and I hate missing any activity. Like I love being at every game I possibly can. So it's full. Life is very full. But I feel very grounded and I feel like I'm in a place where nothing could really rock my non-negotiables. And I think that's a key. And I realized that the other day I was coming out of a meditation and I realized like the trick as a really high performer entrepreneur who could constantly work is a work-life integration and a way that you have non-negotiables and then work fits in around that. And that's like my secret because I used to really struggle where things like my workouts, I wanted to meditate, I wanted to do these things, and it would always get pushed down. And I see this all the time, like not even in just entrepreneurs. I see this in my team too, of like, they're like, I love to meditate every morning. I'm like, well, you got to do it. You got to prioritize it, right? So the key is having your non-negotiables. Like no matter what, these are the things that I have to do today for myself, for my family, for the other buckets in my life. And my work will fit around all of those things. And I could work the rest of the time if I chose. But those things have to happen as priority. It doesn't mean they happen first. They just have to fit in the day. And a lot of times my day feels like a game of Tetris. Like even for example, today, I'm teaching a guest training. So it's going to a certain time, which is past when I would normally be leaving for the gym. So I went and did half my workout before this, came here, fitting in work, guest training, go finish my workout. It's just a game. It's a game of Tetris, but it's knowing my non-negotiables and then the business fits in around those. And I think I've finally, like, especially now gotten to a place where nothing could rock those because I'm in pressure cooker mode right now with two big projects. And once I have clarity, like I can't stop thinking about it. I'm so excited. I want to implement it so fast, but my non-negotiables are there. And my mornings have been so nice. I am doing that hack that I shared last week where I lock myself out of social media in the morning. So I'm completely unplugged for a while. And I do an hour-long meditation and then I go spend 10 minutes in the sun with my feet in the grass and I drink my cacao and protein drink that tastes like a hot chocolate, my coolest invention. And I go out there, sometimes my husband joins, sometimes my kids join, and it's like, it's the best. It's just so simple, so sweet before the noise happens, before that, chaos starts to ensue. So I don't know if that helps, but I think how you start your day sets the tone for the whole day. And even if it's 10 minutes, having that quiet time before you let the noise get to you, before you let social, email, Voxer, messages, any of that, like I don't look at any of that for basically 2 hours after I get up, because I'm meditating. I do my now outside time. I take my kids to school, breakfast, and then I unbrick my phone and let myself look at the noise. And I think it's leading to such just clarity. So what I want to talk about today is some really powerful conversations that I had this last week in my coaching calls, like so freaking good. And I want to bring these in because I had our mastermind call this last week, which went almost 2 hours. And I had some one-on-ones, both with my mastermind members and some people who got some bonuses from me, and just such good conversations. So there's a few points. I might extend some of these into other episodes, but there's a few points that I want to talk about on this because they were so good. The first one has to do with the noise. So I had 2 girls on the mastermind this week share that they would find themselves, when lacking clarity about something in the business, they would find themselves in constant chats with ChatGPT. And that kind of leading to, not spiraling, but leading to more noise. And I realized in that, I was like, oh my gosh, we are going to go into a time period where thinking for yourself actually becomes something you have to work at. And there's going to be a lack of it because we're starting to train ourselves in our brain. And I do it too, right? Like as soon as I might have a thought of like, I wonder this, let me ask Chat, let me talk to Chat. Here's the problem with that. If we do that too much, then our original thoughts and creativity and, the most powerful source of knowledge and wisdom we have, which is our brain and our body and our connection to whatever you believe in, a gap is going to be created between that. And so as they were talking, I could tell that the conversations with Chat, first of all, those are going to be narrowed to what you ask Chat, what it gives you back. It's very agreeable. Like it's not really questioning your thinking very much. Like you can ask it to do that and it will, but it naturally doesn't do that. So it kind of lacks real perspective. Second of all, I think it creates noise, and it can create almost like an obsession. Like and I'm not saying they were at this point, but like let me keep talking to Chat, and like it's filling this almost like connection point for me that I am not really getting, but I think I'm getting. And ultimately, I think it's noise. And I do think there's a place for it. I do think it can be helpful. But I think you have to have your foundation before that is a tool that you use. And your foundation is your own original thoughts, your own contemplation, your own ability to create solutions and not just be told what to do by AI. And I think we are going to go into a time period where original thinking, contemplation, connection to universe, God, source, actually will get stronger by those who prioritize it, but there will be a feeling of AI is replacing those things. That AI can be my contemplation, it can be my original thinking, or it can help me with my original thinking, or it's even my connection to my intuition and to God, and that's dangerous. So I had this realization on the call and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to become so relevant in this next year for people. It already is. Okay, what's the solution? Well, it's like you have to set the boundary with yourself. You have to have that foundation. So here's what I told these girls. I said in the middle of the call, I'm like, okay, I got a challenge for you. And they're both doing it next week. I said, next week, you have to spend 7 days. No chat, no social media if possible, as little electronics, And I want you going for walks. I want you journaling. I want you being with yourself in the stillness, in the discomfort of the stillness. And I said, you can create, like if you get inspired to write an email, write an email. You can work still. I'm not going to put a boundary that you can't work, but I want you to create only from your own original, authentic place. And I want you to really question what that is next week and sit with yourself past the point of, okay, I did it. I think I got my original thought. Okay, do it more. And they're both like so excited for this. And I think we're going to need to do more of this, of really making sure that we don't allow AI to replace our critical thinking, our contemplation, our creativity, our original ideas, our perspective. It can be used as an amplifier, as a support, but only when those things are solid. Because what needs to happen, and this happens to me a lot with AI, is like I feed it a good, solid, idea or thought, and then it comes back with something, and then I challenge that. Like when I was unclear about some decisions in my business about a month ago, and I talked about it on here, I did use chat to talk through some things, but I also used sitting in stillness, talking to real humans, my husband, mentors, people who have done what I want to create, built what I want to build, and got perspective outside. And also when I talked to Chad, I literally wrote, I said, I want you to be a 7-figure business consultant and not tell me what I want to hear, but actually do the opposite and challenge my thinking. Then I talk to it, because I don't want to be agreed with, and I don't want my original thinking to be overclouded by AI. And I think we're going to go into a time period where that happens. So here's what I love. Everybody goes right. Everybody starts using chat for everything. Everybody starts getting their ideas and their content and using it to guide them. Well, I'm going to go left, and I'm going to use chat in a different way. I'm not saying I'm not going to use it, but I'm going to make sure that I'm very intentionally thinking and creating and contemplating and questioning perspective without any AI. And so I challenge these girls, 7 days, you can't use it. And they've been using it every day and using it for ideas. And it was creating noise for them. And I saw that as their coach. And so I'm very excited to see what unfolds for them. But I know that like the clarity that comes from connecting back to yourself is just, it's so powerful. And that's one of my missions, is to make sure people remember that, you already know. The truth is already there. You already know. You just forgot that you knew. And you need to just go inward and you'll find all the answers. Truly, you will. So that was one powerful conversation. Another powerful conversation on this call came up around the moments when you have a launch that doesn't go how you hoped. And one of the girls was really disappointed that she didn't hit her goal for her launch. And so I think this is also really important. And the way I handled this on the call and talked about it was, I said, first of all, before we get into strategy, solutions and what we're going to do next, which we built out a whole plan for, a new webinar, a membership, basically a sending funnel, like the plans could come. But I said, before we get into that, I want you first to just sit for a moment and acknowledge that you're disappointed, that you're defeated, that these feelings are coming up within you. And after we get off the call, I want you to write out all the beliefs and the thoughts that are coming up, because here's what we do as humans and as entrepreneurs is we have these thoughts like, okay, you don't hit a launch and you go, what if my business won't make the money I want it to make? What if people don't want to buy my products? What if the industry's changed so much I can't be successful anymore? What if my offer sucks? What if it's me? What if, all these things, okay? That's what our brain does, because it's literally its job. So you don't hit a goal, those thoughts come. But usually what happens is high performers go, I don't want to think those thoughts. I'm going to run from those because those are not true. I'm going to shove those down because those aren't true and I can do this. And so I'm going to keep going and I'm just going to push. I'm going to push through this and I'm going to get to the other side. And while I do believe that we're not our thoughts and that those thoughts are not truth and they're not reality, you also have to acknowledge them first. You can't run from them because then they get bigger and bigger. So what I told her to do was sit down and write out all of the thoughts that she's having, all the beliefs, the things that sound scary to say, but they're there. They're looming in her mind. And as she's writing it, write from the perspective of the observer. This is not true. It's real. It's real, but not true. So when you write, like, my business might fail, or I'm worried about this, or I'm worried about this, or I'm not good enough, it's real for your body. It's real for your system. You're feeling those things. You can acknowledge it, but it's not truth. It's not reality, because it's not true that your business is going to fail or all these things. And so I said, then once you have that list, I bet you could go find evidence of the opposite once you look at it and put it on the table. But when we run from those big thoughts and those feelings and we say, I don't want to feel those because I want to be successful so bad, so I'm going to hang on to it, I'm going to force this, and I'm going to keep going, that's when we end up getting burnt out. We lose passion for our business. We get defeated. We will, sabotage something because we don't want to feel that feeling again. When you accept it first, then you can rewire it, or you can choose how you want to show up and what place you want to show up from. The other thing I said to her is this: listen, every single one of us on the call, including myself, many times has been through a launch that didn't hit its numbers, a goal that didn't happen, a feeling of defeat, of disappointment, of discouragement, of frustration, of loneliness. Like, we've all been there. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing she has a successful business. This launch just didn't go exactly how she wanted, and she was dealing with those emotions. And the other thing is, when you have something that doesn't work the way you want, it's actually a gift, because those are the moments that force us to say, what am I not seeing here? This didn't work how I wanted it to. So what do we need to pivot? And then her and I had a one-on-one, and we came up with the best strategy, from a brand new workshop to a brand new membership that's going to be used to nurture and ascend people into her main program. But all those things we wouldn't have come up with if we weren't faced with, hey, what we're doing right now is not working. And that's the thing with business, is like, it's not about all the times you were successful. Like, a lot of times those things the success that we have actually comes from before not the success. And it comes from the decisions you make when you weren't successful, when you did have a quote failure. And I don't think people talk about that enough, because of course we want to celebrate the wins, but behind every win, every successful launch, every $6-figure, $1 million product that is successful, behind that is hundreds of things that didn't work. And when you can find the beauty in the things that don't work, because they force you to think differently. If they worked, you wouldn't question it. You wouldn't go, what's a different strategy we could do that's even better? Because it was working. When it doesn't work, you question, you collaborate, you come up with different ideas, you bring creativity into it. And I want to acknowledge her too, because even though she was in the middle of open cart and she was going to get more sales, and even though she wasn't hitting her goal, she was like, I'm still showing up, going live, I'm messaging everybody, like, I'm doing everything I can, and then we'll come up with the plan after. And I think that is also a formula to success. It's like, put in the work, do everything you can to create that success to the best of your ability in the moment, because that's all you can control. Surrender the outcome, and then trust that exactly what's going to happen is what's supposed to happen. And I've never seen that go wrong. And there are so many times and so many things in my business that don't work out the way that I want them to, or don't hit the goal that I had set or I had hoped for, but then cause me to go, okay, how can we look at this differently? What are we not seeing? And then it goes through a refinement process, and you are always on that journey. Because the thing is, industries are going to be changing, and they're drastically changing right now. The industry she's in has got drastic changes because of things being introduced, changes behind the way people see the problem she solves. And so it's just a natural kind of reaction to that. And so when you can remove, first of all, the emotion of what she said was coming up, which was, I'm like that trauma of like, I'm being rejected. And I think that's what happens as an entrepreneur. Like, we're so afraid of failure because that failure ultimately feels like rejection from people, which feels like death to our system. And that's why people don't put themselves out there. Because if they don't put themselves out there, they don't go build the business, build the product, create the content, launch the podcast, do the things, they can't get rejected. So it's a protection, usually subconscious. So once you remove that and you realize that's not the actual correlation, right? Her launch not hitting its goal number was not because people were rejecting her. It was because we need to tweak things within her offer, its positioning, and the customer journey needing more nurturing. And so that's what we did, right? But she needed to have a moment of, let me honor and acknowledge where I'm at, where I am emotionally at, because again, it's real. It is real. It feels real to your system. It's not truth. It's not reality. Those are two different things. So let's acknowledge it. Let's accept it. Let's put it out on the table. Let's not run from it. Let's not hide from it. Let's not avoid it. Let's give it that space. Let's then take that and look for evidence of the opposite. So the belief of nobody wants to buy my product, maybe, I think one of the things she said, like, maybe I'm just not meant to be doing this. Okay, maybe I'm just not meant to be doing this. Let's find evidence for the opposite. Let's list all the ways that you've just impacted people through her launch, through her clients, through the results that she's gotten, through the passion that she feels. We can quickly find evidence for that. But when we're so in it in our brain, it feels like it's true. Like, maybe I'm just not meant to do this, right? And then we can move into strategy. Two things usually happen when a launch is not successful. They allow fear to take over. They allow those beliefs to become their reality. Maybe I'm not meant to do this. I can't be successful, blah, blah, blah. Now that becomes their reality. It becomes their identity. And so they pull back. They stop investing in their business. They stop putting as much time into it. They distract themselves. They don't make progress, spin their wheels, and live in that kind of victim state of, well, it's just not going to work for me. They do that. Or the second thing that they do is they skip over the acknowledgement of where they're at as a human and jump right into the strategy. But then subconsciously, there's still sabotaging happening because subconsciously you're going, no, but I actually believe that I can't be successful and I'm running from that. And so my decisions are going to protect me from that feeling. But when we start with let's lay it out on the table. Let's give ourselves the space for where we're at. Then we can move into, okay, who do we want to be? What are the beliefs I want to have? These are the ones I currently have. I'm going to give them the space. What are the ones I want to have? How do I want to show up? And now what's the strategy? I mean, this is why entrepreneurship is the biggest personal development journey you could ever go on. And your business is a direct reflection of you as a CEO, period. Being an entrepreneur will drag out every limiting belief, pattern you have, cycle you have, trauma that you still haven't addressed, because it's all in how you show up. Your business is a reflection of your energy, which is your beliefs and your thoughts and who you are as a person, which should be evolving all the time. I believe that's why we're here. But business is going to massively and rapidly amplify that process. And the faster we can do that, the faster our business will grow. You'll clear the space for the next level. And it's why I freaking love my mastermind and love my events and love my retreats, because I get to get in deep like that with the human and the person behind the business and give them different perspective and things that they can do to become this new version of themselves every week if they want. And what do you think happens to their business when they do that? Every single time, without fail, it grows. So there's more. Those were a few of my inspiring coaching conversations this week. I got off that call, it was 2 hours, and I just poured myself into it. And I went outside and I just like went in the sun. I had 5 minutes before another call. It was a very busy day. And I just sat in the sun and was like, I'm just so grateful to have found a purpose and a calling that I really feel is why I'm here, to support entrepreneurs in how they show up, who they are, the beliefs they carry, and create their dream reality, which in order to create your dream reality, you have to become the person who already has it. And that takes work. I guess it's not easy. You know, it's easier to be a victim. It's easier to blame external circumstances than it is to take accountability. Even I do that all the time, right? Like for our ego, it's way easier to go like, oh, this is, so-and-so or the team member, blah, blah, blah. And that's why this didn't happen. But when we take radical accountability, it's challenging. But then so much can unfold. All right, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm so excited to be announcing so many things coming soon. I have a feeling the next 12 months are going to be massive, like massive for our company, for the impact we're here to create, for what we're doing, how we're supporting entrepreneurs. I'm beyond excited. I'll talk to you guys next time.